established rich coming right back at you. Some people spend their whole life doing great work and nobody ever calls their name. Some people change culture and never get the trophy to honor the sacrifice they made. And one day, after decades of silence, after decades of being overlooked, the world finally stops and acknowledges what was already there. That's what just happened with Delroy Lindo. At 73 years old, after more than 50 years of acting, after generations grew up watching him command screens without ever needing to raise his voice, he has received his first Oscar nomination. Not his first great performance, not his first great role, his first nomination. And that tells you everything you need to know about how this system works and how much strength it takes to keep going when the system acts like they don't see you. Because Delroy Lindo didn't just arrive yesterday. He been here. He was West Indian Archie in Malcolm. A role so real, so controlled, so calculated, you forgot you was watching a movie. He was the soul of the Blood Five. A story so heavy with pain and history that anybody who understands acting knew they was watching something special. And yet, when the awards came, his name never got called. And that kind of silence does something to a man. Not because he needs the award, but because he knows the work deserves the respect. But what makes Delroy Lindo different is he never stopped. He never started begging for validation. He never started performing for attention instead of performing for truth. He kept showing up. He kept honoring his craft. He kept believing that real work has a life of its own, even when the world pretends not to see it. And then this happened.
I was sleeping. I was halfway sleeping. And my phone rang. It was my son. And my son said, there he is right there. My son said, Dad, you got that. Beep. I said, oh, for real? He said, Dad, you got that. Beep.
I love it.
I'm always fascinated when people say they're sleeping. You're not staying up and watching it? No.
I did not want to.
Yeah.
It's very simple. I didn't want to set myself up for disappointment. I didn't know which way the wind was blowing.
Yes.
And I didn't want to
be disappointed with it.
set myself up. So I was.
So at this stage in your career, what does this mean to you, Delroy? A lot of people are saying, I can't believe it's the first time. Everyone is saying.
Because you have put out incredible works before for decades.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So what does it mean to you?
It means it is special.
Yeah.
It is a big deal. I have to say that part of the reason that it's a big deal is because of how people are responding in my behalf.
Yeah.
It's a big deal to a lot of people, and therefore it enhances how I'm feeling about the whole experience.
Understand is moments like this don't come out of nowhere. They happen because a man refused to quit when he had every reason to. Because there were years when his name was being talked about, but still never called. Years when everybody said he deserved it, and he still had to watch somebody else walk up them steps. And that kind of disappointment breaks most people. It makes him bitter, makes him walk away. But he didn't walk away. He kept working. He kept showing up. He kept trusting that what God put in him was bigger than what any voting committee could give or take away. And that's why this moment hit different. Not because he needed it, but because he earned it without ever changing who he was to get it. This is what discipline looks like. This is what faith looks like. This is what happens when a man decides that his purpose matters more than his recognition. And what people don't realize is the hard part was never the acting. The hard part was the waiting. The hard part was continuing to believe in himself while watching lesser work get greater praise. The hardest part was continuing to pour his soul into characters while the industry acted like his soul was invisible. But that's what separates legends from everybody else. Legends don't work for the moment. They work for the truth. And the truth is, Delroy Lindo been Oscar level for decades. The world just finally caught up. And what people don't understand is being overlooked don't break you all at once. It breaks you in pieces. It breaks you in silence. It breaks you in private. Because the world only sees the performance. They don't see the waiting. They don't see the phone that never rang. They don't see the nominations that never came. And Delroy Lindo lived through that reality for decades. He lived through watching moments come and go. Watching conversations happen without his name in them. Even when his work was stronger than most of the names being mentioned. And that's the part people don't talk about when they talk about success. Success don't always reward the best. Sometimes it rewards the most visible. And Delroy Lindo was never a man who begged to be seen. He was a man who showed up and did the work. He did the work in Malcolm X. He did the work in Crooklyn. He did the work in Clockers. He did the work in Get Shorty. He did the work in Cider House Rules. And then came the Blood Five. And anybody who saw that film knows exactly what I'm about to say. His performance wasn't just good. It was undeniable. It was the kind of performance that made you forget you was watching an actor. It was the kind of performance that made you feel like you was watching a man relive his trauma in real time. There was pain in his eyes, history in his voice. And for months, the conversation was unanimous. People said this was finally the performance that would give him the recognition he deserved. The press said it, the critics said it, the culture said it. But when the nominations came out, his name was not there.
The Five Bloods, one of the most egregious Oscar snubs, I would say, for yourself. Does that stuff carry weight? I know, like, journalists love to go on about it, but as an actor, is it a thing?
It is a thing. It is a thing, but one must get over it really quickly, because it's about work. I gotta keep working. It kicked me in my ass. It kicked me in my natural ass, just for a variety of reasons. However, I remember the morning of the snub, Spike and I were on the phone, and he called me, and in the final analysis, one must keep working. You can't wallow in that stuff, man. We could talk for an hour, but you can't wallow. You gotta keep working. Mm-hmm. You gotta keep working.
And the role will always be there for us to watch. And
Film is
appreciate.
forever. Mm-hmm. Film is forever.
Yeah.
No matter who says what and judges and gives me this, the work is on screen. Period. At the end.
And that kind of silence hits different when you know what you gave, when you know that you left everything on the screen. He said himself he was profoundly disappointed. And that profoundly carries weight, because profound disappointment is not loud. Profound disappointment is quiet. It's the kind of disappointment you sit with. It's the kind of disappointment you have to process alone. And this wasn't the first time. And that's what makes it heavier. This was part of a pattern where his work was celebrated publicly, but ignored officially. And that kind of experience can break a person if they let it. That kind of experience can make a person walk away from the very thing they love. And there was a moment early in his career where he almost did. A moment where the frustration got so heavy that he questioned everything. And it was at that moment that Denzel Washington spoke into his life.
So before we get started, I just want to say this, that when Denzel graciously agreed to do this, the word that I got was, he never does this. He never does these kinds of things.
Never had before.
And this is a testament to the fact that we go back as friends and as fellow students at the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco in a few years back.
48 years.
There you go. So I appreciate it, man.
I learned two things from Delroy that I've never forgotten. The first thing was that a loaf of wheat bread, a jar of honey, and a jar of peanut butter was all you need to survive.
We were students back then, y'all.
We were students. And you explained to me all the nutritional value and everything. It was like he was like some health nut that, bastard. Delroy did his scene, and they had no notes. They were like, I don't know if you remember this. They were like, okay then. They had notes for me. They had no notes. And that was the second thing that I learned. Like I said, the first thing I learned was nutritional value, peanut butter and stuff. The second thing I learned, which is really the first, is that there's levels to this thing called acting. I thought I was pretty good. I was, coming from undergrad, hey. But then I saw Delroy, and I was like, whoa, okay, I gotta go home and work. I appreciate that. Yeah, my mother used to always say, man gives the award, God gives the reward. Delroy Lindo has rewarded us with a brilliant performance, and I want to back up because the stage belongs to him. Ladies and gentlemen, Delroy Lindo.
Denzel didn't speak to him like a fan. He spoke to him like a man who understood the role. He told him something simple but powerful. He told him, don't let the system decide your worth. He told him your responsibility is the work. He told him your responsibility is the craft. And that conversation changed something in him. It grounded him. It reminded him that his journey was never about trophies. It was about truth. And that's why he kept going. That's why he kept going even when the applause got quiet. He kept going when the industry looked past him. He kept going when it would have been easy to walk away. Because real professionals don't work for recognition. They work from conviction. And conviction is what carried him through every disappointment. He didn't become bitter. He became stronger. He didn't become louder. He became more focused. He didn't chase validation. He chased excellence. And that's why this moment at 73 years old means more than just any nomination. It represents survival. It represents discipline. It represents faith in yourself when the world don't reflect it back to you. Because the hardest thing in life is not failure. The hardest thing in life is continuing when you feel invisible. And Delroy Lindo continued. He continued through decades of uncertainty. He continued through decades of being undervalued. And now the world is finally forced to say his name in a different way. Not as a supporting figure, not as a character actor, but as a man whose greatness can no longer be denied. Because he has always been an Oscar-level actor in our world. Like, comment, subscribe, establish Rich. I'll be back with another one. Peace.